My girlfriend said, "I need space from you. You're suffocating me." I said, "Understood." Then I gave her permanent space, moved out that day, changed my number, and started living my life. When she realized I was gone for good, her family started calling. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I'm writing this because I'm still getting calls from people trying to convince me I did something wrong. I didn't. I just took my girlfriend literally. My name is Alex. I'm 33 years old. I was in a relationship with Sophie for 4 years. We lived together for 2 of those years. And then one night, she asked for space. So I gave it to her. Permanently. The beginning. I met Sophie at a friend's party. She was funny, confident, independent. Had her own apartment, her own career, her own life. I was attracted to that. She seemed like someone who had it together. We dated for about 18 months before moving in together. That felt right at the time. We were spending all our time at my place anyway. Why not officially combine? The first year of living together was good. Really good, actually. We'd cook together on Sunday nights. She'd make pasta, I'd handle the sauce. We'd watch movies and she'd fall asleep on my shoulder. We'd have friends over for dinner parties. Sex was regular and good. We'd talk about the future. She'd complain about her boss being impossible. I'd listen and make her laugh. I'd complain about my family drama. She'd give me advice. It felt like a real partnership. I was happy. I thought she was too. Then something shifted around year 2. The deterioration. It started so small I almost missed it. Sophie became less interested in our Sunday cooking nights. I'm tired. Can we just order in? Okay, fine. We'd order. But then she'd be on her phone the whole time, barely touching her food, laughing at something on her screen. Not laughing at me. At her phone. Date nights became something I had to convince her to do. Hey, want to go out this weekend? I don't know. I'm kind of exhausted from work. Okay, when are you free? I don't know, Alex. Can we talk about this later? Later never came. Sex became less frequent. Once a week. Then once every 2 weeks. Then I'd initiate and she'd say she had a headache, or she was too tired, or she'd had a stressful day. I stopped initiating after a while. The rejection started to feel like a pattern I didn't want to repeat. I tried to address it directly. One night I said, "Are we okay? You seem distant." She said, "Yeah, I'm just stressed about work. My team is a nightmare right now." Okay, but are we okay? What do you mean? Of course we're okay. But we weren't. I could feel it. Something had shifted and I couldn't figure out what. I suggested date nights as a solution. She said they felt forced. I suggested couples therapy. She said, "I don't need therapy. I need space." Space. That word. It hung there like a warning I didn't know how to interpret. I started trying to give her space within the relationship. I told myself that's what she needed, freedom. So I stopped asking about her day in detail. Didn't expect her to spend every evening with me. Made plans with my own friends on weekends so she could do her thing. Went to the gym 3 times a week instead of 2. Gave her room to breathe. It didn't help. She just became more distant. Sophie started going out more. Girls' nights out became Tuesdays and Thursdays. Then Mondays too. She'd come home at 11 p.m., already in pajamas, barely acknowledging I was there. She'd stay late at work. Text me less. When I texted her during the day, I'd get one-word responses hours later. Okay, or yeah, or just an emoji. She seemed less interested in anything involving me. When I tried to show her something funny I'd found, she'd glance at it and go back to scrolling. When I'd ask about her day, she'd give vague answers. Fine, or work stuff. When we were together, she'd be physically present but mentally somewhere else. On her phone, scrolling through Instagram, laughing at TikToks, not making eye contact, not engaging. I'd sit next to her on the couch and feel completely alone, like I was living with a ghost. Someone who was there but not really with me. I remember one night specifically. We were watching our show, this show we'd been watching together for months. Some crime drama. I made a joke about the plot. She didn't laugh, didn't even look at me, just kept scrolling. And I realized, she's not even here. We're in the same room, and she's completely gone. That's when I started getting scared. Not angry, scared. Like the person I loved was slipping away and I didn't know how to hold on. The attempts to fix it. I tried everything. I suggested we take a weekend trip. Maybe we need to reconnect. Get away from the routine. She said, "I can't. I have too much going on at work right now." I suggested we try a new hobby together. We used to do stuff. Remember when we took that cooking class? She said, yeah, but I don't really have time for that right now. I suggested we make a point to spend more time together. Like, let's plan 2 nights a week where it's just us. No phones. Just us. She looked at me like I'd asked her to climb Everest. That sounds exhausting, honestly. The word landed hard. Exhausting. Spending time with me was exhausting. I suggested therapy again. Just for us. Just to talk to someone. I don't need therapy, Alex. I just need you to, I don't know, be less. Be less what? Just less. Less clingy. Less needy. Less here. So I tried to be less. I tried to take up less space. I'd come home from work and instead of greeting her, I'd just go to the other room and change. I'd make dinner and eat by myself so she could eat alone if she wanted. I stopped asking how her day was. Stopped trying to make her laugh. Stopped existing in spaces where she was. I became a ghost in my own home, and it still wasn't enough. The resentment. Then the comments started. Small at first. Almost casual. You're always here. I'd think, well, I live here. This is my apartment too. You're always wanting to do things with me. I'd think, I'm your boyfriend. Isn't that normal? I feel like I can't breathe. That one made me stop. Made me actually examine what I was doing. Was I being clingy? Was I really suffocating her? I tried to adjust. But no matter what I did, it wasn't right. One day I suggested she stay at her friend's place for the night. You know, if you want some time alone. I'll be here if you need anything. She said, no, that's not. I don't want you to think I don't want to be with you. But she did think that. Or she was trying to tell me that. The message was confused but clear at the same time. She made me feel guilty for existing. For being present in a space we shared. For wanting to spend time with my girlfriend. For being her boyfriend. One night I came home, and she was on the couch. I sat down next to her, not too close, just on the other end of the couch. And she immediately got up and moved to the chair. I didn't say anything. Just sat there wondering what I'd done wrong just by existing. Another time, I brought home her favorite food, Thai from the place she loved. She said, oh, that's nice, but I'm not really hungry. She wasn't hungry. She didn't eat dinner that night. I started sleeping in the guest room. Not because she asked me to, because I thought maybe if I wasn't there, she could breathe. Maybe if I gave her space in our actual bed, she'd feel less suffocated. She never asked me to come back. I'd lie in that guest room and wonder, when did I become the problem? The pattern becomes clear. I realized after a few weeks that this wasn't about something I was doing wrong. This was about Sophie having already checked out. She'd made a decision about me months ago. The decision that I was too much. That I was suffocating her. And now everything I did was being measured against that decision. I try to be helpful, and it would be clingy. I try to give her space, and she'd say I was distant. I try to connect, and I was needy. There was no winning because she'd already lost interest. In me. In us. In this. The weird part. I still loved her. I still wanted to fix it. I still believed that if I just found the right combination of actions, the right things to say, the right amount of space, she'd remember why she loved me. I was willing to disappear if that's what it took. The night. It was a Tuesday. We were on the couch watching TV. Some crime show neither of us really cared about. She was on her phone. I was just sitting there, careful not to take up too much space on my own couch. Then she suddenly turned to me and said, I need space from you. You're suffocating me. Just like that. Casual. Like she'd been thinking about it for a while and finally decided to say it out loud. I feel like I can't breathe when you're around. I need space. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I realized she meant it. She'd been meaning it for months. This was just the first time she was saying it directly, and something in me just clicked off. Not angrily, not dramatically. I just accepted it. Okay, I said. Okay. She seemed surprised. Maybe she was expecting me to argue, to beg, to promise to change. Yeah, okay. What does that mean? It means you want space. I'll give you space. She looked relieved, like she'd been bracing for a fight, and I'd just handed her a gift. Really, really, I didn't know it yet, but that was the moment the relationship ended. She just didn't know it yet. The decision. I sat there on the couch for another hour after she fell asleep, just thinking. She said I was suffocating her, that being around me made her feel like she couldn't breathe, that I needed to take up less space. I'd been trying to do that for months, walking on eggshells, trying to be less. Trying to disappear into the background of her life. And it still wasn't enough. So I made a decision. If my presence was suffocating her, I'd remove it completely. Not as punishment, not as a message, not as some grand gesture designed to make her regret what she'd said. Just logically, she said she couldn't breathe around me, so I wouldn't be around. I realized I'd been trying to save a relationship that was already dead. I was the only one trying. She'd checked out months ago, and I was so desperate to keep her that I'd been shrinking myself, apologizing for existing, trying to take up less space in a space we shared. That night, I decided, not anymore. She wanted space, real space. I'd give it to her. That night, I waited until she was fully asleep. Then I got up quietly from the guest bed and started packing. I moved through our apartment like I was burglarizing my own life. Quietly, methodically, I took my clothes from the closet, the ones I'd bought, not the ones she'd picked out. Took my toiletries from the bathroom. Took my laptop, my hard drives, my passport, my insurance documents from the desk. I didn't take anything that was shared. No furniture, no kitchen stuff, no decorations, just things that were mine. It took about 2 hours. By 3 a.m., I'd packed everything I needed into 2 large suitcases and a backpack. I stood in the living room for a moment, looking at the apartment. At the couch where we'd watched 1,000 shows together. At the kitchen where we'd cooked those Sunday dinners. At all of it. Then I left a note on the kitchen counter. You wanted space. Here it is. Don't contact me. That's all I wrote. 5 sentences. I thought about adding more, but what was there to say? She'd made her request. I was honoring it. I grabbed my suitcases and left. Closed the door quietly behind me. I drove to my friend Marcus's house and crashed on his couch around 4 a.m. The morning after, by 9:15 a.m., Sophie was calling. I was awake. I watched my phone ring, watched her name appear, and I didn't answer. She called again at 9:30, and at 9:45, at 10 a.m., she started texting. Where are you? This isn't funny. Come home. I didn't respond. By 10:30, the call started again. Marcus woke up to my phone buzzing constantly. Dude, is that your girlfriend? Yeah. You're not going to answer? No. He looked at me for a long moment, probably trying to figure out if I was having a mental breakdown. Then he just went to make coffee. By noon, I changed my number. I called my work and told them I was dealing with personal stuff and might be a little distracted for a while. They were understanding. Said I had some vacation days available if I needed them. I spent the rest of the day at Marcus's apartment, not thinking about anything, just existing in the quiet. The first week, I stayed at Marcus's for the first week while I found my own place. I needed real distance. Not the imaginary kind Sophie said she wanted. Actual, physical distance. A new apartment. A new address. A new number that she didn't have. By day 2, Sophie had shown up at my workplace. My coworker Jessica came back to my desk. There's a woman at the front desk asking for you. Says it's urgent. Says she's your girlfriend. I felt my stomach tighten, but my voice stayed level. What did she say? She said she's worried about you, that you left without explaining anything. Tell her I'm not here. Tell her I'm in meetings all day. Jessica looked uncomfortable. She seems pretty upset. Are you okay? I'm fine. Just tell security to help her leave. I heard later that Sophie had tried to push past the front desk, that security had to actually escort her out. She'd been crying. She kept asking if I was okay, if I'd been in an accident, if something bad had happened. I wasn't at work. I was at Marcus's apartment, getting a new phone. The calls and messages. She texted from different numbers, called from her friends' phones, tried every angle to reach me. From her coworker's number, please just talk to me. I didn't mean from her sister's number. Alex, please call Sophie. She's really worried about you. From an unknown number. Hi Alex, this is Claire, Sophie's friend. I don't know what happened, but she's really upset. Can you please just let her know you're okay? I blocked those numbers. Created a rule in my email so anything from her contact information went to spam. By day 5, her family got involved. The family intervention. The first call came from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Alex, it's Patricia, Sophie's mom. We need to talk about what's happening. I took a breath, prepared myself. Okay. Hi, Patricia. Sophie says you just left. Is that true? Yes. Why would you do that? She said you packed your things in the middle of the night like a lunatic. She asked for space. I gave it to her. Patricia's voice got higher, more panicked. She didn't ask you to disappear. She just wanted some time. Some breathing room in the relationship. You can't interpret that as a reason to abandon her. She said I was suffocating her. She said she couldn't breathe around me. So I removed myself from the situation. Permanently. That's not what she meant, Alex. When someone says they need space in a relationship, they don't mean leave forever. She didn't specify a time frame. She said she needed space. I gave her space. Patricia tried a different approach. Her voice became softer, more desperate. Look, Sophie is devastated. She's not eating. She's not sleeping. She called in sick to work yesterday. This was supposed to be temporary. You can't just walk out on someone like this. I'm not walking out. I'm respecting her request. She said she felt suffocated by my presence. So I removed my presence. Now she has all the space she could possibly want. You're being intentionally difficult. No, I'm being literal. She asked for space. She got it. Patricia hung up. But it didn't end there. The escalation. Over the next week, I got calls from Patricia again, left a voicemail. Please, just call me back. We need to talk about this rationally. David, her father, son, I don't know what's going on, but walking out on someone is not the answer. Her sister Michelle, you're being really immature. You can't just leave someone because they asked for space. Her best friend Katie, whatever happened between you two? This is cruel. She's been crying for days. Her coworker Marcus, hey man, not sure what's going on, but Sophie's a wreck at work. Can you please just talk to her? A number I didn't recognize that turned out to be her therapist asking me to call her back. Sophie is in crisis, and I think it would really help if you would just have a conversation with her. I blocked every number. Some left voicemails. Some just called repeatedly. The desperation was clear, but I didn't waver, because I knew what would happen if I answered. They'd try to convince me I'd misunderstood, that I was being cruel, that this was extreme, that I should come back and they could work it out. But there was nothing to work out. She'd asked for space. I'd given it to her. Sophie's attempts. By day 10, Sophie herself showed up at my apartment building. Marcus told me about it. He'd seen her from the window. She sat outside for 3 hours, just sitting in her car, occasionally getting out and staring at the building. I didn't go down, didn't look out the window, just let her sit there. Eventually, a security guard apparently asked her to leave. She did. That night, she left a voicemail. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it the way you took it. I just needed some time to figure things out. Some breathing room. Please just come back and we can talk about it. We can work through this. I didn't call back. She texted from yet another friend's phone. I hate you for this. I hate that you're doing this to me. I didn't respond. But I thought, good. At least you're feeling something. I blocked that number too. By day 14, she texted from her own number. I unblocked it to see what she'd say. I made a mistake. I didn't understand what I was asking for. I don't actually want space from you. I want us. Please. I didn't respond. I blocked the number again. What I realized. By week 3, Sophie's family had mostly stopped calling. They'd realized I wasn't going to change my mind. But I'd realized something too. Sophie had no idea what she was asking for when she said she needed space. She thought space meant, I'll wait for you while you go find yourself. Or, I'll be here, but less intense. Or, give me a few days, and I'll remember why I love you. She didn't think it meant, I'll actually be gone. She wanted space on her terms. Space where I was still available when she wanted me. Space where she could have freedom, but I was still a safety net. A backup option. I gave her real space. Permanent space. Space where I was actually gone. And she hated it because it meant she had to deal with the consequences of her words. Moving forward, I found my own apartment by week 2. A studio in a building across town. Small kitchen, 1 bedroom, hardwood floors. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. There was no couch where I'd sat feeling alone. No kitchen where I'd cooked dinners nobody ate. No guest bed where I'd slept trying to give her space. Just space. Actually mine. I told my work I was dealing with personal stuff and might be a little distracted for a while. They were understanding. I started actually living my life. The life I'd been apologizing for. I went out with friends on Friday nights. Actually went. Didn't cancel last minute. Didn't make excuses about why I couldn't leave. I just went. I had dinner with my parents. Let them ask questions about Sophie. Told them I'd moved on and they didn't need to worry. I went to the gym and actually enjoyed it. Wasn't thinking about whether I was taking up too much space in the apartment. Was just exercising. I watched shows I wanted to watch. Ate what I wanted to eat. Took up space. Existed without apologizing. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. 3 months later, I started dating casually. Nothing serious. Just normal interactions with people who actually wanted to spend time with me. No walking on eggshells. No trying to disappear. Just two people hanging out, enjoying each other's company. It was refreshing. Easy. Like I'd forgotten what that felt like. I heard through mutual friends, which I shouldn't have cared about, but information gets around, that Sophie was struggling. She was depressed. In therapy, trying to figure out what happened. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel guilty. I felt nothing. That's when I realized I had cared more about the relationship than she did. I was willing to shrink myself to keep her. She wasn't willing to do the same. So when she said she couldn't breathe, she was being honest. She just didn't understand that I'd take her literally. And once I left, once I actually gave her the space she'd asked for, she realized she'd made a mistake. But some mistakes can't be walked back. Now, it's been 6 months. I've moved on completely. I'm living my life. Actually living it. Sophie hasn't. Not yet anyway. But that's not my problem anymore. People ask me if I was cruel. If I should have handled it differently. If I should have tried to explain before I left. But I didn't need to explain. She was clear. I was clear. The only thing I did was take her literally. Some people say I overreacted. That I should have given her another chance. That real relationships require effort and communication. I agree. Real relationships do require effort and communication. But they require both people to make that effort. Both people to communicate. Sophie stopped communicating months before she said she needed space. She stopped making effort. She just checked out. And when I checked out too, when I actually gave her what she asked for, suddenly everyone wanted me to stay. Suddenly, I was the problem. But I wasn't the problem. I was just the one who actually listened. She asked for space. I gave it to her. And now she has to live with that choice. Just like I'm living with mine. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.